meeting tonight. The first thing, and I'm going to reverse the agenda order, we have the planning board election and appointment resolutions. The first two items are roll call. The other ones are all in favor. So the first one is a nomination for the chairman for the term to expire December 31st, 2022. Do I have any nominations? Christina, as I mentioned. Thank you. Thank you both. So a roll call then would be Marcus. I just heard a nomination, and Reed second. So I'm the chairman. Thank you. The second is, sorry?
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I love quick roll calls. The second is the planning board deputy chairman, and I'd like to nominate Marcus for that position. He's been there for 2 years already, or maybe even third. Term is to expire December 31st, 2022. Do I have a second or a roll call? Read?
I'll second.
And me, obviously, yes. And Marcus, I guess you don't vote for yourself, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Actually, you do. Actually, you both do have to vote for yourself because you're a committee of 5. So you need all three of you to vote. So
Marcus, vote for yourself.
I'll vote yes.
Yeah. Temporarily appoint Christina Martin as clerk to the planning board for fiscal year 2022 at the salary established by the 2022 Shelter Island town budget. And temporarily, because I've been brought to my attention that Christina will be moving to another potentially new position in the town, and we will have someone else. But right now she is our clerk for this month and maybe next. So I'm keeping her in the appointment calendar. So I make a motion to accept Christina Martin as the planning board clerk. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Appoint the Rayner Group as the planning board engineer for fiscal year 2022. I'll make a motion to accept that. They've done a great job for many, many years. I'd like to continue working with them. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Appoint EHA as the planning board counsel for fiscal year 2022. I think they've been with us for longer than the Rayner Group. They have a great history, and it's been a pleasure working with Beth Baldwin so far. So I make a motion to accept EHA as the planning board counsel. I have a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the last one is to appoint the Shelter Island Reporter as the planning board's official newspaper of record for fiscal year 2022. We do this every year. They run our display, our ads. We notify of public hearings. So I make a motion to appoint the Shelter Island Reporter as the official newspaper. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Now we got to review the approve the planning board minutes from December 14th of last year. We did a lot with the white application subdivision amendment. We paid some bills, and we approved the meeting calendar. And in regards to white, they were asking for some changes, 4 in particular. And we agreed to extend the 6-month period for another 6 months to construct the first road. We gave them an additional 6 months to amend the SWIP and NOI with the DEC. We did not want to back away from requiring the applicant to execute a resolution stating all that the remaining lot owners will be responsible for the road and fire cisterns construction. And we stood by our requirement for the 2 performance bonds to be accepted by the town, which they have, a town board, which they subsequently have. This all looks fine to me. Did anyone see anything that should be changed or altered? So
No.
I guess the meeting minutes for December 14th are approved. This month, we had a little bit of correspondence, not much. One bill, the white, obviously notice of the white performance bonds. I think there's two things on the correspondence list that need to be added. One email from Mary Faith Westervelt regarding the fine art deeds. She asked how we were making out with them. We reviewed them, said some information was missing, and since that's been subsequently given to us. And then something from email today from Valerie Marvin asking about the base Bossy plat signatures, and I went in and signed them, and so they're ready to be picked up and then filed with the county.
And one more thing, there was an email from Matt Sherman with updated Kushner plan, site plan. I forwarded it today.
That too, that came later this afternoon, right? Review and act on bills. We have two bills from EHA, one for the month of November in the amount of $1,504.69. It had to deal with reviewing the Bloom documents, preparing Basin Haberl resolutions, reviewing the White deed declaration, emailing Gail Wickham and Karen Hogue with the CNRs, and doing some work on fine art for a total of almost 5.5 hours. And as always, I think that is well worth it. And with our municipal discount, the total is $1,504.69. So I make a motion to accept the EHA November bill. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We also received a December bill from EHA. This one totaled $3,445.31. Again, a lot of work on the White subdivision and going back and forth with CNRs and some of the comments they had in our meeting notes, some of the questions we were asked and how we determined them. A total 12.25 hours, and with our municipal discount, $3,445.31. Again, I think it was well spent. So I make a motion to accept the EHA December invoice. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the list is the Bloom sketch plan approval, which we were not able to assemble in time for last month's meeting, and the Blooms were very nice to allow us to take an extra month to go through this. This is actually going to be resolution number 7 of 2022. And I read through it. It seemed very straightforward, where I think we're all in agreement that the current sketch plan is far superior to the one that was presented in 2019. Beth had outlined a long history of the application, and then switching over to the lot line change, and then the various the secret determinations and the various other things we've worked on to get to the point we are at currently. The only thing that I thought might need some clarification from is on page 2, the last full paragraph. As modified by the lot line adjustment and merger, the property has an area of 262,641 square feet and is improved with a single family residence, a 2-story building, and a 2-story garage. Also located on the property because of the merger is another single family residence, a 1-story building, and a shed and a 1-story garage. It's my understanding, and Barbara Bloom's here. You have now with the merged property, there's two full residences, primary residence on the property. Do you also have a rental cottage or accessory
think-
sleeping? Or
I'm thinking if she's more describing Winitzer's property. The first description you read sounds like my house, the garage and
Okay.
the house. The other house that's part of the property is on Monantic, and that is a
Right.
2-story house.
okay,
And it has what is called sleeping quarters, a separate little, what I would call a cottage, but Chris described it as sleeping quarters. So it's got a 2-story house and the sleeping
Okay.
quarters.
so
That second description you read isn't really accurate for my merged lot with the,
okay, let me go through it again. As modified by the lot line adjustment and merger, the property has an area of such and such and is improved with a single family residence, a 2-story building, and a 2-story garage. And that's your primary property, correct?
right, I would say the 2-story building is, I would say is the barn. And then we do have a
Okay,
two-car garage, and then we have the house.
okay. And then on the second property, there's a single family residence, a 1-story building, which is the accessory sleeping. And
So
a
maybe
shed
that is- And a shed.
and a 1-story garage.
Yeah, see, that seems to me more like Winitzer. Because, you know, he's got what was Ann Dunbar's house in the front. He's got like a little garage type building in the middle, and he's got the accessory cottage in the back. And they're all 1-story buildings. Whereas our house on Monantic is definitely a 2-story building. And we don't have a garage. There's what was an outhouse. You could just see the little building that was an outhouse is still on that property, but it's the 2-story building house and the sleeping quarters, which is 1-story small cottage type thing.
Okay, I'm just trying to think of how to clarify this in a statement tonight. We can accept it as revised as opposed to going back to Beth and waiting a month on this.
Yeah,
So if we describe going back to your property, single family residence with a 2-story building, and I'll put after building in parentheses barn,
right.
and a 2-story garage. That would be a correct description of your property.
I don't know if you'd really call the garage 2-story. It's a 2-car garage.
Is there a loft space above it?
Yes, like a storage space.
Is it do the roofs spring from the ceiling joists, or is there some crib walls there? How, I mean, how high is the ceiling in,
If you're
in
looking
that?
at the garage, it just looked like a regular roof, like a regular pitch. And the back has sort of what I don't know if it's the right word, but maybe like a small dormer kind of thing. So it goes up and then out.
So 1.5 stories sounds like.
Yeah, maybe like that. Yeah.
And then on the Monantic property,
Right. is
there's
the
another
house.
single family house.
Right.
Then there's a 1-story building, which
Right.
we're calling the accessory sleeping quarters.
Correct.
And then there is a shed, which sounds like it's the outhouse.
There's a tiny little, building that was an outhouse that's still there.
Okay.
And then there is, I'm forgetting that if you go down that hill, there is a 2-car garage there as well.
Okay, so, but it's 1-story.
1-story,
no-
2-car garage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think as I would revise this, as I'll just go through it one more time for clarity.
Mhm.
In the first property is a single family residence, a 2-story barn and a building, which I'll put in parentheses barn,
Yeah.
and a
No
one and a
water,
half
no- Yeah,
and a 1.5 story garage.
Right.
And then on the Monantic property, there's a single family residence, a
Mhm,
one-story building, which in parentheses will say accessory sleeping quarters,
mhm,
a shed, and a
Mhm.
one-story garage.
Correct.
I'm happy with that. If
As
Reed
a
and
matter
Marcus,
of garage, but it's one story.
yeah,
Okay.
Reed and Marcus, are you okay with that slight?
Yeah, it seems to
Modification.
satisfy, right?
I just think,
I mean, I can email you like the survey, which will show all those buildings from Hemmer. I mean, if
yeah,
you
we
want to
have the
send-
survey, but I think was more important, we had heard that there was an accessory sleeping quarter on the property,
Right.
but we never substantiated that. So there's really, in a way, 2.5 residences on this one lot right now.
Yeah,
So, okay.
which
Otherwise-
Bob has allowed, as
Bob
we.
Stefano had permitted the merger,
Right,
correct?
as we go through this process to correct everything that from the beginning,
Yeah.
with the merge by operation of law thing.
Yep. So this will give you 6 months to continue on your work or ask for an extension going forth. So Reed, Marcus, do you have any questions, comments on this? You've obviously read it. Otherwise,
I'm okay with it, yeah.
I'm good with it.
I'll make a motion to accept resolution number 7 of 2022. The sketch plan approval for the Bloom subdivision. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so let's go on with the agenda. That closes the business meeting and we get into the work session. As far as Steinhardt goes, we've received the deeds. I guess Beth had indicated they were okay. We received a title search, missing pages. We got the complete title search now. And so I think we're in good, we're moving ahead on the application. They still have until April 21st until they have to ask for an extension, but I think we're finally moving ahead on. Regarding the Blooms, we just voted on the sketch plan resolution. We'll be waiting for the final application. We have the county determination. They said it's for local jurisdiction determination to review, so we're good there. And we'll have to see how the fire commissioners, they've been sent the plan. We just haven't heard whether they've talked about it or met on it. I don't know. Amber, do you know anything whether they've started discussing it or read?
No, they haven't, but the meeting is Monday, the 24th.
Okay.
That's on the Bloom property you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I know Larry, I brought over something to Larry a while ago, and he said they were going to discuss it at the next meeting. That was the last I heard.
Right, and that was 3 weeks ago or something, so. Yeah, okay. We're waiting for the final application on the Cassick minor subdivision. They still have till April 13th. We, on the base lot line adjustment, we received the proof of deed recordings. I've signed the plat. Now we're just waiting for proof of filing, the miscellaneous map. Major subdivision. I reached out to Beth last week and said if there had been any activity, and she said it's been all quiet. She was going to reach out to Gail Wickham, and I have not heard back whether there's anything going. So right now, as far as I understand, we're still waiting on the resolution conditions to be met. Robert subdivision, I reached out to Matt today saying, where the we're waiting on the proof of the access. And he said in essence, he wants to slow the application down a little bit. He knows the health department application is going to be lengthy. So he wants to get a little further ahead on the health department before us moving ahead. I pointed out he needs secret from us to go to the health department, and he acknowledged that he understands what's going on. So we'll leave it to his client's schedule. It doesn't affect us anything by just leaving it on our work session agenda. Nothing under other business, and now we have 4 wetland applications in front of us. First one's McCarthy. I have to recuse myself on that, but Reed, is there anything you want to discuss? You're writing the report on this, so is there anything you want to discuss?
I'll finish that the next day or two. I was under the impression that it wasn't urgent because it wasn't scheduled before the town board, so I've been a little my dance card's been a little full the last couple of weeks. So
Okay.
anything
Well,
that you can put
you
on.
visited properties. You don't want to
Yeah.
make any comments until you submit. Okay.
Ian, just on all 4 of these, because I know you'd sent me an email at one point, we hadn't set the schedule yet. So I'm presuming that the public hearings will be set on January 28th, and then the hearings themselves will be on February 18th.
Okay. I had traded some emails regarding, now wearing my other hat on McCarthy, with Jerry, and was hoping that since they submitted everything in the end of October, that we'd be on an earlier schedule. But I guess just knowing you couldn't get it on the schedule in time. It's been 3 months now or something. So, all right. Goodson and Marcus, I got your first draft. I started working on it today. I think it's one of these scenarios where we need them to provide us a survey update. They use I think Reed, and Marcus, we've talked about it to some extent. The surveys they provided we're up to 4 surveys now, and none of them seem to match each other. You guys pointed out that the contours weren't matching. I discovered today that the meets and bounds of the side yards weren't equal, being up to 25, 30 feet off from each other. And so some improved version of a survey is needed. And I think we can ask for that and then recommend that nothing be done on this application until a better survey is obtained.
It's very difficult working on one of these cases when you can't trust the survey.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. You got 4 different surveys. Well, 2 were supplied with the application, and one of them shows the wetlands line being 25 feet at the sea, and then they go in from there. And that one has the longest side yard property lines by about 25 feet, and it's aerial surveyors, and they don't even visit. They just put a drone up or something. They don't even,
yeah, we basically don't accept theirs in the building department. We don't accept their surveys anymore because they've turned out to be completely unreliable. And the Van Tile survey is old, and the only complicating factor that I see is that the Van Tile is the one that was referenced in the DEC NJ letter, non-jurisdiction letter. And so I think you and I had talked about this earlier, Ian, that I don't think it, in this case, for a number of reasons, that it's an unreasonable hardship for them, for the owner to get a new survey done. I believe also that one of the surveys just referenced the Suffolk County tax maps. Is that correct? I haven't looked in a while. But, as far as the contours go, I think they just referenced the Suffolk County, which again is based on an older survey, and I think I think we need something with new surveys. I mean, a new contour. It's new contours.
if you talk to a surveyor, sometimes they'll go out and they'll actually take spot elevations, say 100 of them, and then put them into the computer and let the computer kind of auto-generate the elevation lines. More often they use is the county LiDAR studies, which are fairly accurate. And then they just plot that onto the survey. And that's a standard practice in the business.
Yeah, I think that the problem here lies in that they reference different datum, different datums. One is NABD, whatever it is. I'm clear in my head at the moment. I'm afraid I'm coming down with COVID at the moment.
So all of them should be, anything now we should be looking at should have NABD 1998 datum.
Yeah.
And it's about a 1.1 inch foot difference from the 1929 NVGD datum. So, but also I think that the wetlands on this wetlands line should also be delineated as we do on any other wetlands application. Have an environmentalist go out and delineate the lines, and then we have an official instead of just going off a tie line along the apparent high water mark, we have an official datum to reference from.
Yeah, I agree.
And then we can just ask the applicant, well, I guess we can put it in the letter that we also recommend the applicant have their surveyor check the meets and bounds, because in all the 4 surveys, none of them matched. And that seems odd. It should be part of the Schedule A on a deed that's in the assessor's office or in the county. So, all right. So I think that we have a clear-cut way of proceeding on Goodson. The next one is Kushner. There was some late maps. I watched a little bit of today's town board hearing work session, and I guess there was a little confusion on the maps being presented. I haven't gone to look at it yet, but on paper, by my recommendation would be to allow them to go ahead because all the work is in the adjacent regulated area, and the wetlands code does not deny work in the adjacent regulated area. It just adds more mitigating features. And so I think the standard of asking for a automatic cover, they were offering a salt cell, saltwater tank, pool chlorination, and they were offering cartridge filter that doesn't use a lot of water. They're all the usual things that we asked for, the town board has asked for in the past. So my position, but I would like to go look at the property more in detail, would be to allow the patio and the pool, as many applicants have been allowed in the past within the adjacent regulated area. No work is going in on the regulated area itself. Is that your understanding from Reed and Marcus of your review of this?
Yeah, I mean, I've been to the property in a couple of other capacities. I definitely would like to discuss it. I think it's a complicated property because it's got water on 2 sides. And so because of the shape of it, there's not much that's not in the regulated area aside from the driveway now. So, I basically think that with mitigation, they should be allowed to put a pool in an additionally regulated area.
It's not a big pool either. It's 16 by 30 or something like that. And it's right off their driveway. The patio doesn't seem large. I don't know. That's kind of my take on it. They are offering an IA sanitary system if they get the permit for the pool. That might be a nice trade-off for the town too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we should certainly discuss it. They do have an illegal hot tub that's come to light that needs to go.
How big is the hot tub?
I don't know. I didn't measure it. You know, it's probably 8, but if what you're angling at is the 100 square foot exemption, then yeah, it would definitely, I'm pretty sure it would be under the.
No, I'm actually angling at the town pool code that says a pool is a body of water more than 10 foot by 10 foot. And if it's under 10 foot by 10 foot, it's not necessarily a pool.
No, but it does require a permit. It is regulated by the building code, so it would require a building permit.
Okay. All right. All right, so I'll take a look at that when I go out. And I don't know, Reed, I'll give you a heads up when I go. If you are available, please join me. Otherwise, we can talk about it afterwards.
Sure.
Do it anytime. The last of the wetlands applications deals with Sapin, which is the old Dunhill house. And then after Dunhill was Carragher up in the Heights. Marcus and I walked around the property. It was mighty cold and windy.
Yes, it was.
But
I think I got pneumonia from it.
it looked fairly straightforward. I remember when Priscilla Dunhill put in the staircase in the early 80s, I think it was 82 or 83 it went in, and was quite a feat. I liked the way they actually installed it back then. They put in landings that had not too many posts, maybe 4 to 6 posts or 8 posts each. And then the steps spanned between the landings without independent posts into the ground. The new proposal, it exists. It's a narrower staircase, about 30 inches wide. It's after all these 40 years, it's racked, it's rotting, and it's overgrown. It's actually a little scary to go down and walk down and up. We went most of the way down. The new one would be basically replacing this with something a little safer. The stair runs are a little shorter, so if someone tumbled, they wouldn't be picking up as much momentum. The landings, it's a little wider to make it safer and comfortable going down. The landings are not as overall long because they're actually 2 shorter landing pads with some steps in between. So they're trying to, again, break up the stairs a little bit. The only thing I wasn't really fond of is that the whole length of the stairs and the landings all had posts. This assembly has tons and tons of posts, which obviously you have to dig in and then set. And if they could figure out a way to build it more similarly to the original, where there's actually less footings, less disturbance, using the existing staircase to carry materials down and debris up, and then the same capacity, so there's less walking on the bluff. I think they should be, in my opinion, it's the right thing to allow them to replace it. They're also asking for 2 sheds, small cabana kind of things at the bottom. It didn't make sense with the grade change under the location of where they want to put these, how these things would be level or even accessible. They're so small that the interior spaces would be like 4 foot by 5 foot, which you could store an umbrella and some beach chairs and a couple frisbees or something, but I can't imagine you'd be able to do much more in this space. I don't know why they're asking for 2 small ones instead of 1 bigger one, but still it seems like an awkward placement, and I'm not sure until I get more information on, or I think the planning board gets information on it, more information on how they're going to be sited, how they're going to be used and accessed. I don't think I could put my weight behind them. Marcus, do you have any thoughts having looked at it?
Well, the first thing when you look at it, it's a very steep slope. And there's vegetation there, and there's some trees that have come out. And so it's starting to fall out a little bit. But what they're proposing, you know, the stairs with the platforms in between, that can actually strengthen up the whole hillside if they do it correctly. And so I think it's a good thing, and it's a safe way to access, because you feel very uncomfortable going down what's there existing right now. I mean, there's concrete blowing out, there's 4x4s that are split, there's some rot. So I'm all for it. I don't know what the need for those sheds are. It's like an in thing to like put these sheds right up on the beach. You know, I think, you know, we should try to, you know, protect the natural look of our shoreline as much as we can. Those are my feelings on that.
Okay. All right, well, we drafted a report. I think you guys were both okay with what it was said, and I'll just forward it into the town board so they can review it earlier than later. I know the date hasn't been set on this one either, so, but you'll have that report shortly. That's all I have for tonight. I see Karen Hoag and Bill Freivogel are with us. Do either one of you have any questions or comments, or before I close the meeting?
Hi, it's Karen Hoag. No, I have nothing further. We're working on the documents with Gail Wickham and the county. So I just wanted to let the board know that that we are working on those, and that's the latest status update that I have.
Great, thank you for that. Do you think you'll have something more in the next month, so we could probably assist you in completing this, or do you think it's going to drag on? A little more time is needed?
No, I think we should have something shortly. It's just a matter of reviewing all the language in the documents and getting everybody comfortable. So I can provide an update as we move forward.
Great, we would appreciate that.
Sure.
Okay. Carla Freivogel, do you have something you'd like to say, or?
I just wanted to say thank you for your help, and yes, we're working with Karen, and we'll have something soon. So thank you very much.
Sounds great. We'd love to conclude this, make everyone
Yes.
happy too. Yeah.
Yep, me too.
All right, thank you. Well, that's all I have for this evening. So unless someone else has something they would like to add, thank you for joining us tonight. And maybe next meeting, there'll be one or two more bodies. Have a nice evening.
All right.
Thank